Hi, this is John Roca from Collider. I'm here with two hot-looking dudes, Aldis Hodge and Greg Kinnear. I'll
take it.
They could be brothers. Aldis, I think this whole town is obviously going to take notice of you after this film, and certainly City on a Hill.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, I love that show. I'm knee-deep in that show right now, but seeing what you bring to this role, man, it's incredible to watch your work and watch your process. You're stepping in, you're taking on a man who has existed, who's gone through so much.
Yeah.
What was your biggest obstacle stepping into the shoes or cleats of Brian Banks?
Cleats.
Yeah.
My biggest obstacle was just getting his spirit accurate. I wanted to portray the Brian that I knew and that I understood. And when it comes to this sort of situation and topic, you might see that someone may go through it with bitterness or with anger. And the times that he was frustrated and the times that he was really confused or downtrodden about certain things, I didn't want to exhibit anger because that's not who he is. He's a ball of, I think, positivity and light. And at the point where we really introduce, or the majority of the time frame that I play Brian is where he's elevated to a point of understanding what peace is. He's still fighting for it. He understands what it is. So he's removed from the anger. And I want people to see the pure essence of who this man is and the purity of who he is. You know, he's a great person. He's inspired me, and I hope that people get that from him.
Yeah, there's almost a George Foreman aspect to it all, like how angry he was before he had his conversion, right? To be like the guy selling us George Foreman grills and
Give
stuff.
me that grill.
Give me that grill, that's right.
Brian Banks grill.
One moment that really stands out for you, man, is that monologue you delivered to Greg Kinnear's Justin Brooks when you're like telling him, yo, man, take notice of see me.
See me.
Like, what were you channeling when you got to that place for that monologue, man?
Oh, him. All day.
Yeah.
So Brian and I, we talked about every scene, especially the major scenes at length prior to shooting them. And we would talk throughout them. So that particular day, it was a little tough for me to navigate some of the emotional notes I wanted to hit for consistency. And we were shooting in a courthouse, took Brian to the side. We were just sitting in the stairwell, him and I by ourselves, and, you know, talking to him about this entire process as it played out for him in reality. And then we were both connecting on the hardships in both of our lives growing up, how our families were affected by certain things and all that. And we kind of had, you know, we were had an emotional moment where we both ended up crying. You know, we were just two brothers out there talking about the good old days, and we're crying about what we went through, but it was sort of a release of we survived, you know. So when it got to the scene, I went back in there and I was able to find it because we had a moment of being able to be, you know, brothers who are supporting each other emotionally.
Yeah, I saw that, man. Greg, you are so good in this role as well. Kind of walking into another sort of sports-related movie like you did in Invincible, but you know, there's a massive fan club for Greg Kinnear. Whenever you take a role, people take notice. And what is it about Justin Brooks that spoke to you, or this film? Did they chase you down like Aldis chased down Justin Brooks in the movie, or rather Brian chased down Justin Brooks in the movie?
You know, I actually started, for me, I had a cup of coffee with Tom Shadyac. You know, script Brian Banks, you know, Tom Shadyac, Liar Liar, a lot of big, huge comedies in his past, and I was like, this is not funny. And I remember just sitting down with him and hearing his passion for this story, and I didn't know Tom's story either, you know, and kind of this transformation he's been through, and of course you hear about wrongly convicted people, and it's kind of a drone that's all in our lives all the time. This person, you know, getting out of jail 30 years later, it's so frustrating. But the details of all this came together for me in such a huge way when I learned of the story, and how Brian is an incredible guy, and his story, and how he represents so many other people who've been wrongly convicted, and how that tags to the guy Justin Brooks I play, who runs the California Innocence Project. I mean, they've exonerated over 30 people who have been wrongly accused, sometimes 20, 30 years in jail.
And you get that at the end of the film, right?
Yes, you'll get all that sense. And, you know, first and foremost, it's a hell of a movie. It's a great story, but it also is the kind of film where you'll drive home and you'll think about how this affects your own life, and it'll give you some great perspective.
I certainly did for me. One last question for you, all this, because I work for Collider. We talk about superhero movies all the time. Black Panther 2 or Green Lantern, what would you want to be in?
I guess whichever's hiring, but if anybody's hiring.
I can see you as Jon Stewart. I'm just
But
saying. I'm
honestly,
throwing it out there.
If Green Lantern, if Jon Stewart came around, that would be fantastic. I grew up a big fan of Marvel and DC graphic novels. Did the whole thing. I got into the business so my mom could buy me Batman toys. That's why. Yeah. So if Jon Stewart came around, man, I'm open.
I'm down. All right, I'm down too. I love it. All right, there
Thank
you
you.
go. Thanks, everybody. This is John Roca for Collider. Brian Banks, go see this thing. It's gonna move you.